Life has a way of pressing on the softest parts of our hearts, leaving us desperate for anyone to listen. But not every tear deserves an audience, and not every wound should be placed in the hands of people who may never understand its depth. On Iman Revival, we reflect on the quiet truth that some struggles are sacred, meant to be whispered only to the one who already knows them before they form on our tongues. There are moments when we pour out our pain, hoping someone will hold it gently, only to find our vulnerability mishandled or dismissed. That disappointment can feel heavier than the struggle itself. But imagine standing before your Lord, opening your heart in silence, and feeling a peace settle over you like a soft dawn breaking after the longest night. Imagine finding strength not because someone else carried your load, but because Allah lifted it from within you. Every hardship you face is part of a divine tapestry, threads you may not understand yet, but are being woven with purpose and mercy. Sometimes the quietest moments become the most transformative, because it's in the stillness that Allah heals, guides, and strengthens in ways no human ever could. Your story is safe with Him. Your tears are counted by Him. Your patience is rewarded by Him. So today, let this message awaken something inside you, a renewed trust in Allah's timing, a deeper sense of dignity in guarding your heart, and a powerful reminder that not all battles require an audience. Some of the most beautiful victories happen between you and your Creator alone. Let this be your moment, your turning point to walk with faith, carry your struggles with grace, and surrender your worries to the one who never fails His servants. The hidden weight our hearts carry is often far greater than the world ever sees. Each of us walks through life holding layers of silent battles, unspoken fears, and wounds we don't always know how to express. What makes these struggles even heavier is not always the pain itself, but the feeling that there is no one who can truly understand their depth. We live in a world that constantly pushes us to open up and share everything, as if every emotion must be displayed and every hardship narrated. But the reality is far more delicate. Not every burden is meant for public display, and not every ache in the heart needs an audience. Some struggles become heavier the more we explain them, because the wrong ears and the wrong hearts can drain us rather than uplift us. There's a certain sacredness in the weight we carry, something deeply personal and deeply tied to our journey, our faith, and our growth. When we hand these struggles carelessly to others, especially to those who may be distracted, indifferent, or unable to handle them, we risk losing the quiet strength that comes from preserving our dignity. Sometimes the very act of explaining your pain becomes another wound. You may speak hoping for comfort, but instead receive judgment, comparison, or indifference. You may pour out your heart expecting compassion, only to find your vulnerability mishandled, belittled, or misunderstood. The disappointment that follows can feel like a betrayal, leaving you more alone than before. There are people who listen simply to respond, not to understand. There are those who collect your hardships like stories, not realizing these are chapters carved into your soul. And there are those who carry your secrets loosely, letting them slip into conversations where they never belonged. When you reveal too much of your inner battles to the wrong people, you may find yourself battling not only your original pain, but the aftermath of misplaced trust. But there is a different kind of strength, one that grows in the quiet, in the unseen places of the heart. When you choose not to expose every crack in your soul to the world, you protect something precious, your inner peace. Guarding your struggles doesn't mean suppressing them. It means honoring their weight, recognizing their significance, and choosing carefully where you place them. It means understanding that your heart is not a public diary, and your pain is not entertainment or gossip material. It is part of your spiritual journey, one that deserves dignity and respect. This hidden weight we carry often pushes us closer to Allah in ways we don't always recognize. When the world is unable to hold us, He's the one who does. When we silence the noise around us and turn inward toward the one who created us, begin to see our struggles differently. They are no longer random hardships, but carefully measured tests, designed with wisdom and mercy. They become opportunities for growth, purification, and closeness to the one who understands us more deeply than we could ever understand ourselves. Pouring out your heart to Allah does not require perfect words. It does not require explanation, justification, or fear of being dismissed. Every tear is understood. Every silence is heard. Every unspoken fear is known. When you open your heart to Him, the weight begins to shift, not because the problem disappears instantly, but because you are no longer carrying it alone. There is a tranquility that descends upon a person who turns their pain into dua, who seeks comfort not from the creation, but from the creation. You begin to realize that Allah's mercy wraps around your heart more gently than any human comfort ever could. And so the hidden weight becomes something else entirely. It becomes a reminder of your dependence on Him, a reminder of your strength, and a reminder that not all struggles are meant for human ears. Some are gifts disguised in hardship meant to elevate you spiritually. When you guard your heart and trust Allah with what burdens you, you begin to see the beauty in patience, the wisdom in silence, and the blessing in private resilience. Your pain does not define you, but it refines you. The weight you carry is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of weakness, it is a sign of the soul growing, stretching, and reaching for something higher. And sometimes the greatest transformation happens not when you share your problems with the world, but when you entrust them to the one who never betrays trust. The power of guarding your struggles and protecting your inner peace is something most people only understand after they've been hurt by opening up to the wrong hearts. It is a lesson that rarely comes gently. Often it arrives through disappointment, realizing that the people you trusted with your deepest wounds were never prepared to hold them. In a world where everyone speaks, posts, shares, and broadcasts every flicker of emotion, choosing silence can feel strange, even lonely. But there is a sacred strength in that silence, a strength that shields your soul from unnecessary harm. The more you expose your wounds to careless hands, the more they bleed. But when you guard them, when you choose to keep certain battles between your heart and its creator, you begin to feel a different kind of peace, a peace that does not depend on the validation or compassion of others. Protecting your inner peace begins with understanding one simple truth. Not everyone is worthy of your vulnerability. There are people who will listen just to satisfy their curiosity, not to offer comfort. There are others who take your pain as an opportunity to measure their own lives, comparing struggles instead of showing empathy. Some will even weaponize your honesty in moments of anger or frustration. And then there are those who cannot bear their own burdens, let alone yours. When you place your struggles in front of such people, you leave yourself open to further hurt, disappointment, or emotional exhaustion. Guarding your struggles does not mean isolating yourself or pretending to be strong when you're not. It simply means being wise with your heart. Your inner peace is fragile, like a delicate flame in a storm. To protect it, you must shield it from the winds of negativity, judgment, and misunderstanding. You must become selective about who you allow into the sacred space of your emotional world. This is not selfishness, it is self-preservation. Your art deserves care. Your thoughts deserve respect. Your emotions deserve protection. There is also a spiritual dimension to guarding your struggles. When you choose not to reveal everything to people, you create more space between you and your Lord, who begin to rely less on temporary comfort from people and more on lasting comfort from the one who never fails. This shift changes you internally. You develop resilience, patience, and clarity. You stop expecting others to fix what only Allah can heal. You stop seeking validation from creation and begin finding tranquility in connection with the Creator. One of the most powerful outcomes of guarding your struggles is emotional independence. You are no longer controlled by fear of judgment or the desire for approval. You learn to sit with your own emotions, to process them, to reflect, and to grow. Instead of rushing to unload your feelings onto someone else, you learn to breathe through them, to explore them, and to ask yourself what Allah might be teaching you through them. This deepens your maturity and strengthens your faith. You begin to realize that every hardship carries wisdom and every test carries a message. But these messages are often lost when we seek immediate human comfort instead of divine insight. When you protect your inner peace, you also protect your energy. Not every situation deserves a reaction. Not every hurt deserves a response. Not every misunderstanding needs to be clarified. Sometimes walking away silently is more powerful than explaining yourself repeatedly. Sometimes letting go of the need to be understood is the key to freeing your heart. When you learn to maintain peace within yourself, you stop allowing external chaos to control your emotions. You stop giving people the power to disturb your calm or dictate your worth. There is a kind of beauty in becoming someone who is calm because their peace comes from within, not from what others say or do. When you trust Allah with your struggles, you begin to realize that He compensates you with strength, clarity, and wisdom. He replaces your need for people with reliance on Him. He teaches you that your peace is too precious to be handed out carelessly. And every time you choose silence over oversharing, patience over panic, and trust over fear, your heart becomes more grounded, more stable, more connected. Protecting your inner peace is a daily choice. Some days you will feel strong and centered, other days you will feel fragile and overwhelmed. But each day that you choose wisely whom you confide in, each day that you hold back your heart from unnecessary exposure, each day that you trust Allah more than people, you move closer to a state of spiritual contentment. You begin to experience a tranquility that doesn't break easily, a quiet that feels comforting, not empty, a strength that feels natural, not forced. In the end, guarding your struggles is about knowing your worth. It's about recognizing that your heart is valuable, your emotions are meaningful, and your experiences are sacred. It's about choosing inner peace over outer approval. It's about understanding that the safest place for your pain is in the hands of the one who created your heart and understands every beat of it. And when you protect that peace, you protect your faith, your dignity, and your journey toward becoming the person Allah intends you to be. How turning privately to Allah brings clarity, healing, and strength is one of the most transformative realizations a person can experience in their spiritual journey. There comes a moment in life when you look around and realize that no matter how many hearts you try to lean on, there remains a void inside you that only Allah can fill. It is a quiet, humbling truth. The deepest healing happens in the conversations no one sees, those whispered prayers, those silent tears, those moments when you finally stop explaining yourself to your Creator. When you turn to Allah privately, you step into a sacred space where pretenses fall away. With people, you often feel the need to choose your words carefully, to avoid judgment, to hold back in fear of being misunderstood. But with Allah, you pour out everything, the confusion, the fear, the disappointment, the questions you are afraid to say aloud. Even before a word leaves your lips, He already knows the weight it carries. That realization alone brings immense clarity. You begin to see that you do not need to justify your pain to anyone. You do not need to defend your emotions or hide your struggles. You are standing before the one who created your heart. He understands its wounds and its strengths more intimately than you ever could. Clarity comes when you stop scattering your worries across the world and gather them in your hands to offer them to Allah. When you speak to people, you receive opinions sometimes conflicting, sometimes shallow, sometimes careless. But when you speak to Allah, you receive guidance. Guidance is not always immediate or obvious, but it settles inside you in a way that no human advice ever could. You might not hear a voice or see a sign, but you begin to feel a shift. The chaos in your mind softens. The confusion begins to untangle. The fear begins to fade. Turning to Allah resets your inner world. It aligns your heart with truth, reminds you of what truly matters, and redirects you toward what brings real peace. Healing begins the moment you decide to carry your pain to the one who can change your circumstances. People may listen, but they cannot remove the burden. They may care, but they cannot rewrite your destiny. They may sympathize, but they cannot heal your heart. Only Allah can. And when you approach Him alone, with sincerity and vulnerability, He welcomes you with a mercy that never runs out. Your prayers become a balm, soothing the wounds that no one else sees. Your tears become a form of worship, washing away layers of heaviness you didn't know you were holding. This private turning softens your heart, purifies your intentions, and helps you let go of the bitterness or resentment that may have been growing within you. One of the most beautiful forms of healing is the kind that comes without words, those moments where you simply sit in silence, breathing deeply, knowing Allah is near. In those moments, something inside you begins to mend. You feel a calm descending upon you, subtle yet undeniable. It is the kind of peace people spend their lives chasing in the wrong places through distractions, relationships, material things, but it cannot be bought. It is a gift granted only to those who seek solace through their Lord. Strength emerges as the final gift of turning privately to Allah. Strength does not always mean the ability to bear more pain. Sometimes it means the ability to let go. Sometimes it means learning to trust the unseen plan, to walk with faith even when the path is dark, and to rise after every fall because you know you are not alone. Strength comes when you realize that Allah is guiding you through every hardship, not to break you, but to build you. Each test becomes a tool, shaping you into someone wiser, someone softer, someone closer to Him. Your reliance on people weakens, but your reliance on Allah grows firm, steady, unshakable. When you speak to Allah in private, you begin to recognize His involvement in your life in ways you may have overlooked before. You start seeing how He removes certain people, delays certain plans, blocks certain paths, not to harm you, but to protect you from what you cannot yet see. You begin to appreciate the timing of your life, the pauses, the detours, the closed doors. You realize that nothing you entrust to Allah ever returns empty. Every dua is answered in its own time, in its own way, with its own wisdom. Turning privately to Allah is not just a spiritual act, it is an emotional refuge. It is a reminder that even when the world feels overwhelming, even when you feel misunderstood or alone, you have a place to go where you are always welcomed, always heard, always heard, always who teaches you that your worth is not defined by who listens to you, but by the one who sustains you. And once you taste this intimate connection, once you realize the depth of peace and clarity it brings, you will prefer one moment of sincere dua over 1,000 conversations with people who cannot understand your soul. In the end, turning privately to Allah becomes a sanctuary, one that rebuilds neftio, beavam within, lifts your burdens, heals your heart, and grants you a strength that the world cannot shake. It becomes the place where your faith deepens, your patience expands, and your trust in Allah's timing becomes unbreakable. Recognizing who truly deserves access to your vulnerability is one of the most delicate forms of wisdom a person can acquire. Your heart is sacred, and the emotions it carries are not meant for everyone. Yet many people struggle with drawing boundaries because they fear being seen as distant, untrusting, or cold. But the truth is that not everyone has earned the right to witness your struggles. Not everyone has the emotional maturity, sincerity, or compassion to handle your weaknesses with care. And until you learn to protect this side of yourself, you will continue giving pieces of your heart to people who were never meant to hold them. There is a profound difference between sharing and oversharing. Sharing is intentional. It is choosing someone who has proven through consistency and character that they are safe. Oversharing, however, is an emotional impulse, often rooted in loneliness, fear, or the desperate desire to feel understood. It is giving your deepest concerns to anyone who seems available in the moment, even if they have not shown the slightest sign that they are capable of holding your trust. This is where the pain begins. For when you reveal your vulnerability to the wrong person, you place your emotional stability in hands that may drop it without thinking. People can be unpredictable. Some will listen with genuine care, but others might respond with indifference, impatience, or judgment. Some might offer advice that only confuses you more. Some may show sympathy at first, but later grow tired of your struggles, leaving you feeling like a burden. And then there are those who may use your honesty against you, intentionally or unintentionally bringing up your weaknesses during arguments, gossiping about your private matters, or treating your pain as entertainment or conversation material. Recognizing who deserves access to your vulnerability requires observation, patience, and emotional maturity. The people who deserve to hear your inner struggles are not the ones who have demonstrated integrity. They are the ones who keep confidence, who are consistent, who do not get pleasure from someone else's downfall, who do not change their behavior based on convenience. They are the ones whose presence brings calm rather than anxiety, whose words uplift rather than diminish, whose character remains steady even when their own lives are difficult. A deserving person is someone who respects your boundaries. They do not pressure you to reveal more than you're comfortable sharing. They do not dig for personal details out of curiosity. They patiently wait for you to open up when you feel ready. Their sincerity is evident in the way they listen, not to reply, not to judge, but to understand. They hold your vulnerability with the same gentleness they would want theirs to be held. These are rare hearts, and recognizing them takes time. But even with the right people, vulnerability should be shared in moderation. Your deepest struggles belong first and foremost with Allah. People can support you, but they cannot heal you. They cannot remove your burdens. They cannot remove your burdens. They cannot rewrite your destiny. So when you do choose to speak to someone, remember that they are only a means, not the source of relief. The moment you start expecting them to fill a void that only Allah can fill, you place unfair weight on them and set yourself up for disappointment. Another key aspect of recognizing who deserves your vulnerability is understanding your own emotional patterns. Sometimes you open up to people not because they're trustworthy, but because you're overwhelmed. You might share too quickly when you're anxious, hurt, or desperate for someone to care. Emotional turbulence often blurs your judgment. In such moments, it becomes easy to mistake temporary comfort for true trust. But vulnerability built on desperation rather than discernment usually leads to regret. This is why taking a step back before opening your heart is essential. Give yourself time to feel, reflect, and assess. When you choose wisely, vulnerability can be beautiful. It can deepen genuine connections, build trust, and bring emotional relief. But when it is misplaced, it becomes a source of pain and unnecessary complication. Some of your struggles are meant only to be processed by you and your Creator. Some wounds are not meant to be spoken aloud until they are healed. Some stories are too sacred to be told to anyone but the one who already knows them. And some seasons of your life are designed to teach you independence, strength, and self-awareness. Recognizing who deserves access to your vulnerability also means respecting yourself enough to walk away from those who have shown they cannot be trusted. It means withdrawing emotional access from people who have proven inconsistent, dismissive, or harmful. It means learning that silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is realizing that your heart is not open territory for anyone to wander into. It is understanding that you are responsible for guarding your inner world from those who do not value it. In the end, the people who deserve your vulnerability are few, but that is exactly how it should be. Your heart is not meant to be scattered across the hands of many. It is meant to be protected, valued, and shared only with those who have earned the honor of seeing the deeper parts of your soul. And when you reserve your vulnerability for Allah first, and then for a select few who truly care, you will find that your emotional world becomes calmer, your relationships become healthier, and your faith becomes stronger. You will walk through life with dignity, confidence, and peace, knowing that what is precious within you is guarded with wisdom. Embracing patience, faith, and the beauty of relying on Allah's timing is not just a spiritual concept. It is a complete transformation of the heart. It is a shift from restlessness to calm, from fear to trust, from constantly questioning to quietly surrendering. It is the realization that everything you are waiting for, everything your heart aches for, will come in the exact moment it is meant to, not a second too early, not a second too late. And until that moment arrives, your job is not to force life into unfolding faster. Your job is to grow in the waiting. Patience is one of the most difficult virtues to cultivate because it demands that you accept what you cannot see. It requires you to sit in discomfort, uncertainty, and longing while believing that Allah has not forgotten you. When your heart is breaking, when your plans are crumbling, when the path feels blocked from every angle, the natural instinct is to panic. You want answers. You want relief. You want change now. But patience teaches you that rushing does not bring blessings, it only brings exhaustion. True patience is not passive, it is an active state of hope. It is telling yourself again and again, Allah knows something I don't. Allah sees what I cannot. Allah is protecting me in ways I do not understand. This form of patience strengthens you from within, building a resilience that makes your heart unshakable. Faith grows in the moments when you have nothing else to hold on to, when every door closes, when every effort fails, when the people you relied on drift away. Faith becomes your anchor. It is easy to trust Allah when everything is going your way. But the real beauty of faith appears when everything around you feels uncertain. That is when you realize that relying on Allah is not just comforting, it is necessary. Faith teaches you that your disappointments are not punishments, they are divine redirections. They are signs that what you were holding on to was not meant for you or not meant for you yet. Faith whispers to your heart, what is written for you will reach you even if the world tries to stop it. And what is not written for you will never bring peace, no matter how much you chase it. Relying on Allah's timing means surrendering your illusion of control. We plan with limited knowledge, but Allah plans with perfect wisdom. We see one step ahead, He sees the entire journey. There are blessings that you are not ready for yet. There are prayers that, if answered now, might harm you instead of helping you. There are paths you long for that would lead you away from growth, not toward it. And there are delays designed to strengthen you, to purify your intentions, to shape your character, and to align your heart with His mercy. When you rely on Allah's timing, you stop fighting life and start flowing with it. You begin to feel a peace that does not depend on what is happening externally, because you know that every moment, whether joyful or painful, is part of a larger plan made out of love. This trust in Allah's timing also changes the way you view hardship. Instead of seeing trials as obstacles, you begin to see them as invitations. Invitations to draw closer to Allah, to deepen your supplications, to reflect on your life, to strengthen your soul. Some of the most beautiful transformations happen during the hardest seasons. The moments that broke you were the same moments that pushed you to your prayer mat. The tears you shed were seen by the one who responds to every sincere call. The loneliness you felt was a reminder that Allah is the one who never leaves. Every hardship was leading you somewhere toward humility, toward clarity, toward inner peace, toward Him. Relying on Allah also means letting go of comparison. You stop looking at other people's timelines and questioning your own. You stop wondering why someone else's life seems to be moving faster or smoother than yours. You realize that everyone has their own tests, their own delays, their own moments of darkness. Just because someone's blessing arrived earlier does not mean yours is late. It simply means that Allah wrote their story differently from yours. And your story, with all its twists and pauses, is unfolding exactly as it should. When you accept this, envy fades, anxiety lessens, contentment grows. Patience, faith, and trust in Allah's timing are not just concepts, they are spiritual muscles. They require practice. They require struggle. They require returning to Allah again and again, especially on the days when your heart feels tired. But with each moment of effort, they grow stronger. And as they grow, they reshape your entire life. You start waking up with gratitude instead of frustration. You start walking through trials with calm instead of chaos. You start understanding that every waiting season is a season of preparation. Every delay is a mercy. Every unanswered prayer is a blessing in disguise. In the end, embracing Allah's timing is one of the greatest forms of liberation. You free yourself from fear, from impatience, from constant worry. You hand your story back to the one who writes it with perfection. And you live with a heart that trusts deeply, waits gracefully, and believes wholeheartedly that Allah never withholds anything except to give something better.